Welcome to Titan Muscle and Mind podcast. Today we have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
And it's Jess, Nugent, and we're going to discuss how to overcome mental struggles.
Yes, we are.
Jess,
Hey.
who's also a fitness influencer and Muscle Republic marketing coordinator. Welcome, Jess.
Hey guys, it's really good to be here with you both.
How does it feel?
Look,
How does it feel to be in the hot seat?
I'm pretty excited. I've been following you guys, listening. I love everything that you're doing. I'm excited to share my story. I know Matt's and he's kind of encouraged me and told me that what I have to say is worth saying publicly, which is good.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty
100%.
excited.
I'm excited. I'm not as familiar with the story, so I'm looking forward to getting in deep with it today, getting to know you a little bit better and what it's all about. So I'm sure the listeners are out there excited to get a little bit more information from Jess and Nugent.
So, yeah, Jess,
Yeah.
take us back. You were talking before you studied psychology. You're now working with Muscle Republic. How important is it to understand your audience and know what their needs are?
I think I've always been interested in psychology specifically, but through my journey I've realized that the brand that you align yourself with, if their core values are in the realm of helping other people, you actually have a really good ability to touch the people that you can actually help. So when I say I work in marketing and I love what I do, it's it just kind of happened because so Vic, the owner of Muscle Republic, I've known for a very long time. We both have values that align with one another, and both of us were positively influenced by fitness, and that's primarily what the brand of Muscle Republic is about.
That's good. Tell me, take me back a bit. So you studied psychology.
I did, yeah.
We see a lot of people that suffer anxiety. I know in our fitness centre, I see that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it, and how do people deal with it? How do you deal with it?
So I think the main thing with anxiety and depression is that there's more people who are suffering from it around us than we know. It's not really talked about, and in fact it's something that a lot of people are ashamed to admit. I remember when I was actually sitting down with Matt and I mentioned something about wanting to help people with anxiety, and he looked straight at me, straight into my soul and just basically, and he goes, "Do you suffer from anxiety?" And we're sitting at this table of people, and I was like, do you know what? I do suffer from anxiety. I'm not embarrassed to admit it, and I feel like if more people would mention that or be open about it, then it wouldn't be something that people have to hide. I don't think anxiety is abnormal, because in any situation that's scary, it's normal to feel scared. So yeah, there is a bit of a stigma about anxiety, but I guess like being open about it is probably the best way to deal with it, because how can you expect your friends and family to be able to help you if you're hiding it? And I think that's one of probably the biggest accelerators of anxiety, and when it can actually become really dangerous for people.
What kind of causes it? Like, how does it, what kind of a situation would elevate that for you?
For me personally, I think a lot of people have it that it's the fear of saying the wrong thing. And anxiety comes from it's overthinking, and a lot of people who are very perceptive and have the ability to think really deeply about certain things, you come away from a situation and you go, oh my God, why did I say that? Everyone probably judged me. Or you're in bed lying there and you think about something you said like 17 years ago to someone, and it still bugs you. But I guess, for me, what causes it is just, wanting to look a certain way. And I think in today's day and age, social media, everyone's putting everything out there and creating this picture of their lives when we're all human, but no one wants to look human. And, and as you guys have been talking about, like, social media is becoming more about wanting to see the real thing. So...
Is it hard, like, when you're going through that, to show your vulnerabilities? Do you find that hard?
I used to.
Yeah.
Did it get easier once you accepted it? Like, mental health and mental illnesses is like, it's a scary thing, like you said.
Yeah.
Because you don't see it, so it's harder for other people to accept.
Yeah.
People that have been close to me that went through some stuff like that, as soon as they accepted that they work a certain way and understood signs and signals in their life, it's only then that they started getting better once they took that on board. Was that the same?
Yeah, I think I actually wrote a little blog about that couple of months ago, I think, and I just put it out there on my Instagram and I said, this is my 3 steps to dealing with an anxious moment. One would be, when you have anxiety when other people don't, and they just kind of go, you're being stupid, your problem isn't a problem, just get over it. And then you go, oh, there's something wrong with me, it's my anxiety. But you need to sit down, first accept that you're anxious. Yes, I am anxious. Why am I anxious? Well, I'm worried that I'm not doing well at work. I'm worried that, I've got these bills coming out, I'm not going to be able to pay them. I'm worried, if you're still in high school, I'm worried that I'm going to be judged because it's mufti day and I don't know what to wear. And then step 3 is saying, that's okay. And just say, it's okay. I feel scared because I am scared. How am I going to deal with that? And actually sit down, come up with a solution. Believe in yourself and know, yes, it's going to be a struggle, but I'm going to be better because of that struggle. And, I think as long as you tell yourself that it's okay, you don't have a problem. Everyone's allowed to be scared. And, I would say that's the best way. How
important is it to be around, when you have anxiety, to be around the right environment and the right culture? Is that an important factor, or it doesn't matter at all? It's very, very important.
So, when people suffer from anxiety and depression, they'll generally blame themselves. And when you blame yourself, you start to hate yourself. And when you hate yourself, you're putting that energy of negativity out into the world, and you attract people that, are also negative. And then they'll offer you only distractions. They're not going to sit down with you and talk to you about it because they don't really care. They'll take you out, that's when people get into bad habits of drinking, drugs, partying. Basically, like, it's just detrimental to yourself. If you're around people who, they don't have to understand what it's like to have anxiety, but they want to know how they can help you. And again, this is when being open about it is really important. Not everyone's going to understand what you're going through because it's individual from case to case. But if you can just say, look, this is exactly how I feel, this is how it'll help me if you deal with it, then, the people around you can actually help you through it.
Is it hard to take advice from people when you're going through it who aren't going through it? Something that I've found is trying to talk to people and offer advice is sometimes taken the wrong way because you feel like they're not relating to what you're going through.
Never gone through it,
it is, and I get, like, one of the main reasons that I wanted to come and do this is because a lot of people out there don't know how to deal with it if they haven't been through it. And I guess what I kind of wanted to say is, the types of things that I wish people said to me when I was going through it, because the default for most people is to say, you don't need to stress about that, you're being stupid. And then that's when you, again, think, oh, I've got something wrong with me.
What would be a good answer?
I think probably the best thing for me was when people say, I get that you're stressed. How can we deal with it? What are you thinking of dealing with it? And there's different, anxiety and depression are 2 different things.
But does anxiety lead to depression though?
Well, I guess through my course is, depression can be a chemical imbalance in your brain. So some people's brains don't produce as much cortisol as they should. That leads to depression. That being said, I think that, good support, it can help. Sometimes you do need medication. I'm not saying that medication is wrong. Some people genuinely do, but there's different types of depression. And, it all kind of gets lumped into the one thing, and that's when people really struggle because they just think, I've got depression. How do you deal with it? Here's some medication. But that's not always the way. So I guess, I wanted to come on here. I guess it's important for me to kind of share my story.
Well, I think the tools that you have is what's going to help people.
Yeah, because...
on how to deal with it.
Yeah, so basically, I was always a very social person, and then I got into high school, and a lot of girls struggle in high school because it's like, I don't know, it's like survival of the fittest kind of thing. And I'm a very sensitive person. I like to help people. I've always been pretty different. And there are, bullies and things in high school. They'll take advantage of people who appear to be weak. So I started to get really anxious and, again, worrying that I was going to say the wrong thing. That led to depression, and I had to see a psychologist, and I just found that it made me worse.
Do you feel like this is an advantage for you now? Because
absolutely,
yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that I had the hardest life in the world, because there are so many people that struggle a lot and have got really hard lives. But at the same time, the demons that you have inside your head, they're the ones that speak the loudest. And I always used to say to people that if I've never ever been through something bad in my life and I break my nail and that's the worst thing that ever happened to me, that's the worst pain that I've ever felt. So how can you look at someone else and say their pain isn't as bad because it's not as bad as what someone else went through? But I wouldn't change anything that happened for me in my life, because it's helped. First of all, I've been able to help other people who've gone through something similar. And I guess when I was seeing all these different psychologists and having to explain my story, and it was just exhausting, all I kind of wanted was for someone to sit down with me and say, do you know what? I went through exactly what you're going through. It was shit. It was really hard. And I didn't think I was going to make it through, but I did. And I'm here now. This is what I did. It worked for me. It might work for you, but if not, I'm going to help you find some strategies that'll work. And that's all I wanted. And there need to be more people out there who will share their story, admitting that it might not be the worst thing that's ever happened, but people think that they should only share their story when it is something really awful. And that's why the people who are going through things that are very difficult for them, but they're being told your story's not, there's people, okay, the worst thing, there's people out there that don't have food on their plate. Your problems don't matter. And that hurt a lot, because it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. Yeah.
It's very admirable for you to be able to obviously open up and share this story, but did you, when you were going through these mental health problems earlier on, did you ever imagine that you'd be able to do this, to actually speak out and use your experiences to make other people be better?
Speaking in front of people is really scary, but I'm grateful for my anxiety, because as much as I am almost paralyzed with fear before I do something, I get the satisfaction then afterwards. Even if I don't tell anyone that I'm scared, I can walk away from it and say, that was really scary and I did it, and you become stronger.
I guess for our viewers, the question of the day can be, do you suffer anxiety and how do you deal with it? I think it is such a big thing in our society now.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably see it too, in your
I guess
sort of field.
Especially through social media, it's almost become a breeding ground.
Especially the insecurities that people are
Absolutely.
for that, because it creates an environment where people can escape from their own realities.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that the key to solving a lot of our personal problems is within us. Like, it's within accepting your situation, and the tools are around us to get better, but you're probably not going to get better until you allow yourself to. You
Yeah.
can constantly hide from your problems, which is what social media kind of breeds. You know, it's a place for people to avoid these problems, to escape, and to put on like a wall in front of them, and to live a
it's
life
like wearing
that's
a mask.
not truly where they're facing. It is like wearing a mask, you know.
But then you're not ever facing a problem. So I guess
Exactly.
for me, dealing with anxiety, so at one stage I had depression very badly. I was suicidal. It was a really difficult time for me, and a lot of the psychologists and stuff that I was seeing, they wanted to put me on medication, and I had this thing in my mind that I said, I thought myself into this situation, I can think myself out of it. And as I said before, like some types of depression do need medication, and I resisted it for so long, and then eventually, because it had been about maybe 6 years, I wasn't getting any better. I legitimately felt like I hated myself. I didn't want to be here anymore, and I finally said, okay, give me medication, because I can't deal with it. It was really hard. So I was taking medication, and I don't know if we have listeners out there who are maybe doing, having medication for their problems and feeling this way, but I know that I didn't feel sad, and I'm such a sensitive person. I'll sit there and watch the news and I'll start crying because I just can't understand how people can be so awful to one another. But I was just so impartial to the things that I was hearing.
Yeah.
I didn't feel happiness as much as I did before, and I didn't feel sadness. I was just kind of at this level, and I'm thankful. I know people have always said, you need to harden up, don't be so sad about things.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, and you kind of do need to, but at the same time, like, the world needs people who get sad when other people are in pain. And like, I'm thankful that that's the way that I am, because it's helped me to kind of attract other people, to help other people through their struggles.
And how are you now? You said you were level before. Where were you?
So I was at the time when all that was going on, when I first started taking the medication, I was managing a gym. I wasn't really training all that much, but I went through a really, really bad breakup shortly after taking the medication. I just didn't feel like myself. I started training with a trainer, Matt, and I just, because I'd felt like I'd lost control over my life, over my emotions, I didn't know who I was, I tried to come off the medication, and it made me really, really sick. So I went back on it, and it was like, that was my little comfort zone. I'm like, I can't go out there because, it's scary, I need to stay in here. And then eventually, I was just training every morning with this trainer. I was looking and feeling the best that I ever had. And I remember it so clearly. I booked a photo shoot, my first kind of fitness photo shoot. I did this big 12-week prep, and I was about 2 weeks out. And I was driving back from my trainer's gym. And I remembered, I was like, I haven't taken my medication in 2 months. I just completely forgotten. So I guess, like, my message that I wanted to put out there is that the most beneficial part of living a fit and healthy lifestyle is that it gives you the ability to regain control over your life, because you're not always going to have control over your job. You're not always going to have control over, your friends. There's so many different facets in your life where you can put in 100% effort and get nothing back from it. And that's fine. That's a part of being alive, right? But fitness, diet, I know that if I put in 100% effort with what I'm eating, with my training, being consistent, I'm going to get 100% of the results back out of it. If I put in, 20%, I'm not really trying all that hard, I can then look in the mirror and say, the results that I can see is a reflection of the effort that I put in, and that just helps you. You've got one thing that you can always control in your life. Yeah, and I think that's why fitness actually is so beneficial to anyone who's suffering mentally. For the first time in my life, when I actually did that photo shoot, I looked at the photos and, you know, the photographer, who was a really good friend of mine, he's like, "You look incredible." And I was like, this is actually the first time in my life I'm looking at myself and I'm happy with what I'm seeing, because I know that that's my efforts reflected back. And I felt proud.
Yeah. Good answer.
That was a tangent, sorry.
No, it was good.
That's
I mean, so that was the turning point for you then?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got off the medication?
Yeah, and I haven't taken medication since.
Yeah.
So,
How did your relationship? Did you lose relationships during that time? I think like mental health, it's like an invisible enemy, right? I mean, like to look at you, you're a model. You seem very confident. You're really intelligent. You got a great job. You're not someone that you would typically look at and expect to be battling these demons. Right?
Yeah.
So I can imagine that it would have been hard for the people around you to accept that you were actually going through these things. So how did that happen? Your relationships lost or changed or?
I think for me, a big turning point was I realized that I had to be open, because I was really ashamed of how I was feeling. You talk to people around you, especially, and I think that a lot of younger listeners or people who are going through depression would understand this. You tell your parents, and your parents' job is to protect you. So when you come out and say, "Look, I'm really depressed," or "I don't want to be here," or "I feel anxious, I don't like who I am," your parents take that and it hits them, you know, in their heart.
Yeah, of course.
And they go, "Well, what did I do wrong?" And you're like, "It's not you." And then you feel bad, because the worst part about suffering from depression is feeling like your problem or what you're going through is bringing them down.
Okay.
So you keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're a sensitive person and you care about the people who are around you, you don't want to be the cause of their sadness. And that's why, and I know I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, suicide is the most selfish thing that you can do. But it's actually getting to the point where you don't want to hurt the others around you so badly that you think that they'd be better off without you in their life. And I think that, you know, more people need to be aware of that. Like,
so that's what the person committing suicide is thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And then
they care so much for the people around them that they think, you know, if I wasn't here, you know, all these people are suffering because I'm so sad and I can't be happy. So if I wasn't here, you know, yeah, they'll be sad, but they'll get over it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if that kind of shines some light on that, but at the same time, it's going to be like the biggest struggle that you get through.
Yeah.
And for me, and I was thinking about it the other day when I was walking. For me, depression is when you lose purpose in your life.
Yeah.
So for me, finding purpose, training, you know, being healthy, that was a goal that I could constantly work towards, and it brought meaning back into my days, which made me happier. And I think that anxiety is the fear of losing your purpose.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's right, but that's kind of the...
I don't know, like, I mean, I obviously there's been a few people around me that have sort of committed suicide lately, but I knew a few of them, but I feel like they felt they couldn't bring any more thing to society.
Yeah.
They were just at their end.
Yeah.
You know, the wit's end, where they knew that they couldn't bring any more value to their families, to their friends,
Yeah.
to their communities. And I think it was at that point that they sort of said that's enough. But do you think sometimes people get to that point and go, you know, you said that they think it's best for everyone else, but do you sometimes think they do it and they go, well, if I'm gone, let's see how they go? Do you ever think they feel that way?
I
don't know. Like, I would never know. I would never know what they're doing. But would that ever come across?
Well, I guess like it would depend on what they think actually happens after they die, because how would they know?
Yeah.
So
That's interesting. You know, what mental health is so big now, and you're working for Muscle Republic, and there's a lot of people that are going to be able to connect with your story. I'm sure there's probably. I mean, I know there'd be heaps of people in the fitness industry. So your story is going to be so valuable for people, and what you're going to be doing on your journey is going to help a lot of people.
What was your relationship with social media like when you were going through those times? Did you ever use that as a place to escape, or did that allow you to feel like a false sense of confidence or safety or gratification or anything?
Well, yeah, I think it does, because you're like, it's if you can get a whole bunch of likes on a photo, it's like, you know, people actually do like me.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people go a little too far and they start, you know, taking photos, you know, with very little clothing on just to get the numbers up. But I think through depression, and I mean anyone who's being bullied, the most common thing to do is to blame yourself, and you form a negative self-image, and then eventually you lose your self-respect, and you see girls who, you know, I feel like women are kind of taken advantage of a little bit, because it's almost applauded when they take their clothes off, or, you know, you see the people on Instagram who have so many followers, and it's mainly because, you know, all of their photos are not safe for work. And I think that's really sad, because it's almost celebrating vulnerability, because no one who's really confident in themselves, and I know that we say, oh, you know, you've really got the confidence to do that, but I think a lot of the time it comes from a place of vulnerability, or wanting to feel loved, even though it's a false sense of love, but it's just a reflection of, you know, negative self-worth.
Can it be used positively though? Do you think social media can be a place for people who are struggling to connect with other like-minded people and to get themselves out of a situation?
Yeah,
just as equally as negatively?
Absolutely. So I, because of how I was feeling about myself, I was hanging around with people who were, you know, detrimental to my health. And then when I started feeling good, and I started, you know, putting up quotes about, you know, being positive, being proud of your struggles, you know, loving fitness, and I had a lot of those people who were bad for me saying, you know, it's really lame that you're doing that. And it kind of did make me want to stop, but at the same time I was like, do you know what, I'm actually being myself for once. And, you know, I pushed through it for a few years. You know, I had people unfollow me, whatever, because people like negativity. You know, on social media, they like to see that other people are struggling too. They like to see their friends do well, but not better than themselves.
Have you grown since you've been there? Because, like, obviously, like, I look at you. I've only known you since Muscle Republic, and, you know, I didn't know this other side of you. Has it helped you a lot being at Muscle Republic?
I'm really excited. I mean, I've only been with the company for a couple of months now, but, you know, Vic wants to help people, and he's had his own struggles, and through the brand, you know, we are able to help people. And I think, like, the reason I studied psychology was because I wanted to help people, and now I've found that it doesn't matter what kind of what domain you're coming from. Like, you have the ability to help people if you're passionate. So, I mean, you're in supplements, you can help people. You're working in a gym, you can help people through that.
I'm trying to help myself, Jess.
You're doing a good job. But I'm really happy, because I feel like I found my fit. I found the place where I can, you know, I can help people. I've been able to meet some really amazing, inspirational people, like Vic, like you, like Suze. Shout out.
I won't say the age.
Wow.
I was going to go live. I won't say the age of my beautiful wife, 25-year-old. Oh.
Okay, that makes you sound really creepy.
No, creepy, oh, true. I'm only 30.
Oh, okay, cool. That's good.
What were we?
Yeah, I don't know. Now we got sidetracked.
No, it was more about Muscle Republic, I think. It was.
Yeah, about Muscle Republic. So, I guess one of the biggest things for me is kind of, you know, removing yourself from situations that are negative. And it is really hard when, you know, people look at their friends and they say, well, we've been friends for years, so I'm kind of stuck with them. Like, you have the ability to move. You do only live once. So you've got to surround yourself with people who bring the best out in you, and if you're not, then what are you doing?
You know what I noticed? Like, we're having a bit of banter. But you actually, like, obviously you've come a long way. And you can have a laugh about not what you've gone through, but just having banter about, you know, your friends and your mates. But you know that you're always there for them. But you do it in the most positive way.
Yeah.
You know, you're always giving them encouragement and you're helping them. And when you have that banter, you know, it's just, you actually look forward to it because you know that you're encouraging one another.
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got to surround yourself with positivity. And I guess, like, you know, for anyone who's helping someone through anxiety or depression, like, the most important thing is there's no magic thing to say to make it go away. Like, it's there. Sometimes they just need you to sit with them and just, you know, watch a movie. Or, you know, when was it, about a month ago, and I was just sitting there in my little pit, like, being really upset about things, just because you let it get to you. And I had my friends call me and they're like, come out, we're going to take you out. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I just want to stay in bed. And they literally came out. We all went to the driving range. We didn't even need to talk about it.
Driving range?
Yeah.
Just get the aggression out. Just smack some golf balls.
Did you actually hit the balls or no?
I'm actually not bad at golf. No, that's such a stretch. I'm not. I can hit the ball.
I suck at going to the
But,
driving
like, and again, with fitness, like, sometimes you just need to do something where if you're feeling mentally weak, show yourself that you're strong, even if it's by lifting weights or hitting a new PB.
I think that's a key thing. Like, a lot of people get confused with health and fitness, that the end goal is to look good.
Yeah, and it's not about that
we
at all.
believe that the end goal of health and fitness is to be happy.
Yeah.
It's not about how you look. It's about being confident, finding your best self, and just genuinely enjoying it. And there's no end goal. It's not. You don't stop when you look a certain way. You know, we all work with some amazing influencers that have better physiques than people all over the world, but they don't stop training once they look that good. They become obsessed because it's the feeling. You know,
it's not a destination.
That's
and that's the biggest thing. Like, when I was managing the gym once upon a time, one of my first jobs, and I loved it there, but I had this guy come in and he was like, wanted to know about the membership options, and he's like, oh, I'll just have the 3 month because it's only going to take me 3 months to get to fitness. And I was like, what is fitness? Like, where is that? Where's the map? I don't know how to get there, but
It's funny how some people think it's very short term, but especially if they're not in if they don't understand fitness.
And however you get on your journey, that's fine. If you start because it's an aesthetic thing, that's fine, but you're going to fall in love with the process. And a lot of people, you know, especially the media, for some reason they put this stigma on fitness, saying it's obsessive, it's not healthy, it's the opposite. You know, there's extremes in any, you know.
100%.
Yeah, there's always extremes, but you know, most people who have embraced a genuine health and fitness lifestyle.
It's funny how they say in fitness they're extremists, but isn't sports an extreme? They don't say nothing about that.
But what's not an extreme?
If you look at anything high level.
I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, like, if we, as young people, for example, were to stay up all night tonight and work, and go after work today and go to work tomorrow, people would think we're unhealthy. It's not a good thing to do. But on Friday night, if we were to go out and party all night with our friends, it would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, which is worse for you. Like, what does being extreme really mean? You know,
because people feel threatened. And I think a lot of people do struggle from lack of motivation. They, you know, we all have exactly the same amount of hours in a day. People are tired, but you know, when I was working at the gym, I was working full time. I was, you know, spending hours training, meal prepping, doing all of that. And I didn't get as much rest. I wouldn't kind of sit around and watch movies all the time, even though that's really great sometimes. But I've never had more energy because you get so much more out of utilizing the hours that you have. You feel satisfied. And you mentioned something once when we were chatting that the habits that you get yourself into, you know, if you're just going to sit there and mindlessly watch TV for hours and hours, you eventually become docile. Your brain thinks you're tired because you're spending so long not moving, which is really unnatural for a human being to just sit there, because back in the caveman days we were all out, you know, running around and you know, catching antelopes and things. You're a product of how definitely.
At the beginning of the show, you were like shaking. Now you look so comfortable.
Yeah. Wow.
But that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like from the start of the show, like that just shows how you can just get into something and it's not as bad as it seems. Yeah.
I think the more that you throw yourself into the deep end, the more you realize. And I mean, one thing with anxiety is that it doesn't matter how many times you do something, you're still probably going to be a little bit scared. But I know that, you know, I've done other things that are similar. Like a couple of years back, I got into emceeing. And at first I hosted this little fashion show that was, you know, 100 people. And then I got contacted for this job and they're like, there's going to be about 800 people in the crowd. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do that. That's so intense. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to say yes. If I screw up, it's going to be really embarrassing. But, you know, I did it and I got through it. And at the end, everyone was like, you did such a great job. And now I know that by accepting that challenge and getting through it, I know that, you know, me stressing out about not doing a good job, like it's just in my head. And I think we all have more potential than
you think.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I was listening to podcasters the other day, and a lot of the top podcasters suffer anxiety, and they just knew how to channel it. Yeah. And I think a lot of them work in the self-development space where they had to develop on how to actually control it. And I think that's a big thing. You know, a lot of the times when you go to see a doctor about mental health, they usually don't treat the cause, they treat the symptom. So they're not, you know, a lot of the times they're not treating the cause. So, you know, a lot of the times if you can look at what the cause is, and which you have, and you've accepted it, and then you've said, okay, this is what I need to do, and then you've moved forward. But then you talked about your purpose and why. Your purpose and why is now what drives you. Yeah. To sort of go, I'm going to have that, but whatever I put out there now is going to have an effect on others. Is that true? Is that how it works for you now?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think like the influencer culture, a lot of people are out there doing it for the wrong reasons. And they look at, you know, other influencers that they want to be like, and they try to replicate that. Like, I think you need to be good at being you. And if people are influenced by that, then you're a good influencer. And that's where it gets mixed up. And I know that, you know, I've done photo shoots and I could just post photos of myself on Instagram all day, but that's not, you know, that's not me. That's not the value that I have to give back to other people. And some people might not care about my story. That's fine. Like, you know, we're all different. We all go through different things. But, you know, if I can help one person, and I have had that, you know, I've got messages from, I put up, you know, quotes. I go out and walk and I have these thoughts about, you know, what I've been through, you know, what my kind of take on life. And I've just put it up and I'm like, do you know what? It's my page. I'll do what I want. That means something to me, so I'm going to put it out there. And had someone message back and been like, you know, I was really struggling today and I read that and it really helped me. Yeah. Or I had this woman message me and she said, you know, my daughter's really been struggling and I read your post and it helped me to understand what, you know, she's going through and it helped me to deal with it. You know, that's, for me, that's what life is about. If you can make someone else's life easier, even just for a day, then, you know, you've done more than posting a selfie and getting 500 likes on it, or, you know, 500,000 likes on it.
That's funny you say that. I heard a quote and I really like it. The effect you have on others is the greatest currency there is. Yeah. And a lot of the times that's exactly what our purpose and our why is, and that's what drives us each and every day.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, us three sitting here and Vic and Juju and, everyone else who I've been so blessed to meet, we're all we all believe in the health and fitness industry, first of all, because it's helped each of us overcome struggles. And there are a lot of people out there who don't want to take that first step into health and fitness because they see this negative image that the media portrays. But, if we can influence one person to start that journey, which is ultimately going to help them, because fitness, it's not just about endorphins, as Legally Blonde taught me. But it creates positivity. And you meet other people in the gym that are also positive. And some of the greatest friends that I have now, in fact, probably 80% of the greatest friends that I have now, I've met through training and going to the gym. Yeah.
Amazing.
I think there's a lot to take from your story, no matter where you're at on your journey. The things that you've overcome and been brave enough to come out and talk about today can be applicable to everything. I think it'd probably be good for us each to go through and finish off with one takeaway that we think Jess's story can apply. For me, it's probably that no matter how big you think your problem is, you're always bigger. Like, no matter what situation you're in, until you accept the problem and admit to yourself and believe in yourself that you can get over it, it's probably then that you'll start to help yourself.
I believe everyone wants to do better. I believe that the people around them can sometimes bring them down, but the biggest thing is, when you have that belief, be around people that are going to encourage you to take that step and move forward and take action. But also just believe really in yourself. Become that self-starter, that self-motivator. Become that person that sort of looks at themselves in the mirror and that says, you know what, I can do it. And then get around people that are doing it. And then once you do that, your chances of success is going to be far greater. It's the individuals that think they can't because they're around the environment that thinks they can't. And then as they get older and older, they feel helpless, and then that creates anxiety and more depression as time goes on. The good thing is you're young and you're able to do that now.
Yeah.
And which will have a big impact on a lot of people.
I think my biggest piece of advice is stop hating yourself because you're not like everyone else, because I did that for so long. And then now I finally got to a point that because I'm not or because I wasn't like everyone else, that's what makes me, a good person. And, a lot of the most memorable people in the world weren't like everyone else, and that's what made them great.
100%. Well put.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Well said.
Jess, you're amazing. Thank you so
You're
much.
amazing.
Thank you.
And if you guys have any questions out there for Jess, or if you're going through, anxiety or depression, we'd be glad to pass those messages on to Jess, and we could answer some of those.
Absolutely.
But
Always happy to help.
Our goal thanks for that. And our goal and purpose here at Titan Muscle Mind podcast is to help people through the journeys of our guests that share their stories, and hopefully you guys can pick something up out of that and learn from it. And if you have any questions, like I said before, please send them through. We're here to help you guys.
Perfect.
See you next week. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Thanks for having me.